common sense opinion. As for me, the Constitution. As for me, what follows is quite possibly the most beautiful single paragraph ever written, as it expresses the vision, the pathway, and the promise yet to be fulfilled. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and to our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution of the United States of America. Thus, the Constitution was introduced and signed into law in 1787. Many today, especially those who malign it, mainly to promote special interests and personal bias, have never read it, studied it, or have a working knowledge of how our system of government is designed to work. 2/3 of students, high school and college, fall far below minimum proficiency in national civics assessments, and less than 20% of 12th graders can explain how citizen participation benefits democracy. Civics education, along with U.S. history, not social studies, needs to be mastered prior to high school graduation. The Constitution is not a code of laws or specific applications, but rather a set of principles, ethics, and standards by which a free people can govern themselves. People want to govern themselves and need to be armed with the power and understanding of how the Constitution serves the people. It is the most powerful vision of individual liberty and personal freedom ever written, as well as the world's oldest and shortest national constitution. Currently, the courts improperly interpret, ignore, and apply constitutional standards separate from the principles set forth in the Declaration of Independence. They were designed to work together. This fact provides a set of ever-changing and unpredictable standards incapable of providing national security or continuity. The end result is judges legislating from the bench, following personal bias, precedent, or administration law, rather than the Constitution. This is dictatorship. The founders created a Constitution that was better than we were then, could bring us to where we are now, and lead us into the future. Circumstances, social perceptions, and technologies change, but proven values, principles, ethics, standards do not and should not be changed. Refuse to be led by elitist politicians, many of whom are overly credentialed, undereducated, and seek to malign the Constitution to advance their own special interest, all to gain re-election, power, and control over the free will of the individual, rather than serve all the people of our nation. Both appointed and elected officials take the oath of office and swear to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States of America against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Most lie. Most break the oath whenever it serves their purpose, which is to be re-elected. It's disgusting. When did it become okay to knowingly lie? When? Never. We live in a society that will vote for a candidate who knowingly and willfully lies about anything and everything just to be elected to public office. Or will vote for a person because they belong to a specific political party, or even because of their gender. Never mind the candidate's policies, standards, character, or abilities, how irresponsible and ignorant and dangerous to a free society. We as citizens should repeat the oath of office to ourselves and at the very least contribute our part to society by learning how to be strong, law-abiding American citizens who understand how our government was designed to work. Stop apologizing for being an American. We change the world's thinking by giving hope to suppressed people everywhere. Ignorant, silly arguments from students concerning our founders not knowing about the internet or cell phones, so how could they be intelligent, reveals the complete failure of our education system. When we judge our founders, we must do so in the context of the time in which they lived. Teach civics and history rather than social studies deliberately slanted against American Western ideology thriving with capitalism. Stop over-focusing on the short list of things that may have been done better. Teach the long list, showing how and why our 13 original colonies rose to be the world's only true superpower in just over 242 years. Such things happen by chance, not by chance, but by design. The Constitution has not failed the people, rather the people have failed the vision of the Constitution. The left cannot find common ground with the right on any major issue? Nonsense. They are cowardly. We were given common ground in 1787. The Constitution. It is the mortar that can hold us together. If change is needed or desired, we have an amendment process. Stay the course. Our nation has a long journey yet to come. Political correctness. As for me, I will never support or follow any individual or group that tells me what to see, hear, smell, taste, touch, feel, or worse, what to think, how to think, what to say, or what to be. Nor will I allow others to define my character, ethics, or values by someone else's definition or standards. No, not going to happen. Political correctness is at the root of our society's inability to come together and resolve even simple common sense issues. At its core, it is a social and emotional disorder which makes hypocrites of us all as it attempts to silence free speech, free will, individual liberty, and personal freedom. When in doubt about any social or political issue, always question the voice of the politician or the lawyer. Always listen to the voice of the common people. From the common people comes common sense. Common sense is a component of natural logic. From natural logic comes the ability to reason, to think for oneself, to be oneself. The answer to our social and political questions will be found only in this manner. Both adversity and necessity will demand it. The President. As for me, I did not send Donald Trump to Washington, D.C. to learn how our government works. I sent him to Washington, D.C. to change how our government works. I trust his motives. I see his results. With only an incredible 26 months or so in office and zero assistance from the Democrats' unrelenting, unsupported personal attacks supported by a disgusting Main Street media without journalistic conscience and certain cowardly Senate Republicans refusing to hear the will of the people, President Trump has accomplished more than Obama did in 8 very painful years. Jobs, manufacturing, trade agreements, strong military, tax reform, partial healthcare reform. Beyond all else, I respect results, promises kept against all odds. Elitist politicians, you did not listen in 2016, and some of you still refuse to feel the pulse of the people. President Trump exposed a Congress and judicial system completely out of touch with the mind and heart of Americans, as well as the original intent of the Constitution, both sides of the aisle. We now know which of you must be replaced, especially the Republicans in the Senate who refuse to follow the demands of the people. Build the wall, repeal and completely replace Obamacare. Stop illegal immigration. These Republicans care only about re-election and power. They will learn hard lessons at the polls in 2018 and again in 2020. This is not their country. It is ours. It is mine. I am no one and I am everyone. I have no power and yet I have all the power to effect change and remove and replace the deep state. I am we the people. Work with President Trump. The people will win, and America will win. Second Amendment. As for me, my feelings about the Second Amendment, guns, and the National Rifle Association, NRA, I am grateful for both. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed, period. I am a veteran, trained and very proficient with firearms, and have made it my responsibility to teach and train each member of my family to be able to defend and protect themselves. I respect and support law enforcement and first responders. But they will always arrive at a home invasion or other emergency after the fact. As a husband and father, I am the first line of defense against any threat or home invasion. It is irresponsible to think otherwise. Legally owned registered firearms have saved countless lives. Fact. 96% of crimes committed with a firearm are done so with weapons already illegally obtained. Taking away my right to own a gun will do nothing to stop criminals or terrorists or criminal degenerates from obtaining them. Choosing emotion, politics, and social control over facts and logic to make argument to limit the Second Amendment demeans Americans and the right of law-abiding citizens to protect and defend themselves. As for the steps needed to protect our school children, there's only one effective solution: armed, trained guards and or armed, trained teachers in our schools. Would you rather huddle in a corner and listen to the cries for help from innocent children being shot, or take action, save lives, and stop the intruder? Really? Enough said. Period. Immigration. As for me, Immigration and Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, DACA. These minor children had no control over their lives as parents brought them to our country illegally, or they were born on American soil, which grants them automatic citizenship. Give these dreamers, parents, a path to citizenship with strict benchmarks along the way to ensure willingness and ability to assimilate into American culture. Learn our history. Learn English. Follow our laws. Do not renew this destructive program. Stop it now. Stop illegal immigration, chain migration, and the visa lottery system. Every sovereign nation has the right to decide who comes to their country, who stays in their country, and who must leave. Legal immigration is the soul of this nation. We want the best of those who wish to come here and share in our individual liberty, personal freedom, and opportunity. People with skills, education, and the ability to support themselves while contributing to our society should be welcome. Our immigration system should be designed to make us better, a merit-based system. Why would he accept less? Language, borders, and culture. It takes all three to make a nation. Multiculturalism does not work. We are already the most diversified country on earth. Immigration candidates need to come with their sleeves rolled up rather than their hands held out. The wall? Of course, build the wall. We need to know and control who's coming into our country and why. This is, after all, our country. Immigration cannot be the tool of the radical left used to change the face of this nation through social engineering. Race, religion, creed, culture, or gender should never be considered when granting admission to our country. The left does not care about the welfare of illegal immigrants or Muslim refugees. They care about the potential votes. The majority of illegals come not only from third world countries, but with a third world mentality. Many have only the equivalent of a third or fourth grade education in their country of origin. They can easily be swayed to the socialist side of the aisle, always vote with the left, and create enough power to disrupt accepted social policy and natural demographics. The thought of uncontrolled open borders would actually be silly, if not for being so irresponsible and dangerous. The First Amendment. As for me, I fully support the First Amendment's right of peaceful assembly to protest government policies or regulations concerning any issue. However, showing up at such a protest, rally, or assembly with weapons, body armor, and physically attacking the opposition, destroying both public and private property, and assaulting police officers is not protected by the First Amendment. Lawless looters and rioters should be arrested and punished to the fullest extent of the law. Liberals believe that we experience crime, but we have no criminals. They support giving minority offenders a pass on committing minor and sometimes major crimes, rather than raising and teaching our children to respect law and order. It becomes hard to believe in our justice system when government officials in our own top agencies, Federal Bureau of Investigation, Homeland Security, State Department, and Attorney General, have broken the law and betrayed the confidence and faith of the American people without penalty, without consequence. How can individual citizens expect justice when we witness total disregard for truth, law and order, or consequences from our leadership? Elitist, radical left-wing, anti-Western, anti-American, postmodern progressives usurp power by socially engineering the population. At this time, it should be very clear that had Hillary Clinton won the 2016 election, she would have occupied the White House, had people in place to transform our country, and install a completely fascist postmodern regime. With the Obama years and Hillary Clinton came the largest conspiracy ever attempted in our nation's history. We were a hair's breadth away from a knock on the door in the middle of the night, jackboots on the ground, machine guns, firing squads, and re-education camps for those of us with wrong political thinking. All those now proven guilty must be held accountable regardless of name, social position, or wealth. Equal justice under constitutional law. There can be no less. nationalism. As for me, I support common sense American nationalism, not white nationalists, black nationalists, Hispanic nationalists, or Asian nationalists. These special interest groups or special voices serve only to further divide our nation. American nationalism has no color, race, religion, or gender. It is the bonding together of people bringing their heritage, talents, and traditions to assimilate into a free society through self-government. Neither America nor Americans have anything to apologize for. We are a special people, an exceptional people. When mistakes are made, we hold ourselves accountable and make course corrections. The list of the good we've done in and for the world is almost endless and remains ongoing. History confirms these things. How else could we become the most powerful, successful, and free nation on the planet? Such things do not happen by chance. Such things happen by design. Regardless of efforts to derail our constitutional republic, we still remain the hope of the free world. LGBTQ. As for me, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and questioning, etc., and on into the realm of absurdity. Let me make this point both clear and simple. Get over yourselves, please. The human race is made up of two opposite sexes, male and female. Most men are attracted to women and most women are attracted to men. Exceptions represent less than 5% of our total population. Being gay or lesbian gives you neither special privilege nor abilities. LGBTQ radicals make a lot of noise, but when you separate behavior from identity and factor in maturity, the percentage remains the same. It seems a majority of young women graduate college today thinking 1/3 of the population is gay or lesbian. Some actually lie about having same-sex experiences just to be accepted by their peers. Or worse, some actually have a same-sex experience just to be accepted. How weak is that? By the time young women reach age 28 or 29, education, observation, real-life experience, and maturity suggest an acceptance and desire for a more traditional set of standards. Extremists have temporarily altered social perception, but not biology and attraction. I support free will, equal justice, and equal opportunity for all. If you choose a same-sex partner, I do not care. Live your life. I accept your choices without understanding or affirming them. I also have free will. Make no attempt to shame me or label me a hater for being a hardwired, heterosexual male who adores and respects women and all the beauty, ability, and compassion they bring into this world at every level of society. I have none of the phobias extremists seem to either make up, lie about, or pull out of thin air to support their position. I support the institution that has brought civilization to this point in human history, marriage, the traditional human between a man and a woman, loving and working together to raise and protect their children in a loving way that has proven best for all cultures, especially our children. Read the research. It is a better pathway for most to live a life of happiness and success. Turn down the hate rhetoric and live your lives without attempting to interfere or direct with mine. You live in a very tolerant nation where you are in little danger of physical, political, or social abuse. There is no evil, fear, or hate in my position. Only the normal feelings of a traditional husband and father who will not sit quietly and watch less than 5% of the population represent or engineer the social, political thinking or behavior of the majority. Education. As for me, with education, we need to forget for a moment that what we currently teach as a historical timeline for the development of advanced civilizations, so, people living within walled cities, speaking a common language, engaging in commerce with others, etc., it's off by at least 8 to 10,000 years. But that is another story for another time. We must begin with where we are now and decide how best to prepare our young students to move forward into rewarding, self-reliant, happy lives. Our time demands we place our efforts into skills-based education with attention to the essentials like STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math, so as to compete on the national and world stage. All students with an interest, aptitude, or skills in these subjects should be placed in a classroom environment designed to encourage and develop concentrations in these disciplines. We should, however, not neglect the human side of our education and add the letter A to the basic core units of STEM, giving us STEAM. The addition of the arts, music, literature, creative writing, poetry, painting, sculpture, dance, and more. All the things which bring human beauty and joy to our lives. Also required at both middle and high school levels should be effectively teaching how our government is designed to work and how each individual can and should participate to make it better. Teach United States along with world history rather than social studies slanted toward a failed worldwide socialist experiment. And yes, at all grade levels, teach patriotism. Yes, seriously. Why indoctrinate students to hate their own country when there is so much good historical truth to share with them? Give at least equal time to the evolution of Western civilization, the ongoing pursuit of mankind's journey toward the desire for self-government. Students should understand the role of Hammurabi, Greek city-states, Greek historical thought, the Roman Republican Senate, Magna Carta, British parliamentary procedure, and the American Declaration of Independence and Constitution, and so much more. How can we know where we are going as a people and not know how we got here? Teach facts without personal bias or opinion, and the historical record will show that when mistakes were made, we made corrections and moved on. Students need and want to be proud of themselves and their country. Let's go back to kindergarten. Teach manners. In fact, at every grade level, how to be polite, courteous, and respectful to others seems to be a lost art. And can we please teach how to use appropriate language? It is considered so cool and sophisticated to use the F-bomb and the MF-bomb constantly. One would think our radical left-wing feminists would get great joy from walking into a middle school classroom and observing the entire class loudly reciting the 3 principal parts of speech for the F-bomb while the teacher looks on and smiles approvingly. Yes. Would it not make you so proud? No. Disgusting. Choose another noun or verb or adjective or gerund. It has become the defining go-to word for an entire generation. In real life, most of us find this language boring and stop listening when it is used. We hear nothing but entitled, uneducated, inappropriate babbling from rebellious children of all ages. In helping our young children choose their path, we must recognize not everyone should go to college. Not everyone wants or can go to college. Not everyone needs to go to college. So many well-paying middle-income careers are available to trained, qualified students. High school juniors and seniors should focus on skills-based education and graduate with a certified 2-year college diploma or a vocational technical degree through combined efforts via apprenticeships or internships with local businesses, junior colleges, and or federal agencies. Either prepare these young people to support themselves, be self-reliant, and develop self-esteem, or they will become part of the dependency generation, a life of serfdom, and they'll resort to a life of crime or a life of poverty existing on welfare. They become human cannon fodder for the foundation of a socialist nanny state. What a loss, both of a life and of a mind. What a waste. Inner city minorities. As for me, watching engineered identity politics completely control the thoughts, feelings, and actions of an entire group of people is sad and terrifying. First, you convince everyone that they are entitled to government benefits because they are a minority. Keep preaching that their position in life is not their fault or responsibility, but is all because of racism. I'm poor because those people over there are rich. That attitude. Teach them to believe that they need a state to survive. They cannot live day to day without government assistance. Keep repeating and teaching that everyone and everything is against them. So the radical left creates an attitude of dependency and racism. Now they offer the solution, which is socialism. The state will take care of you, your food, your clothing, and your shelter, plus care and control of your children. A tragedy to watch. Generations have already been lost. Problems with our inner city black population are not economic, but rather attitudinal and cultural. It is simply a myth to assume that an individual must be black to understand these problems and provide solutions. However, if one insists on relying on black examples of proven leadership, the following list provides a top-notch place to begin. I have selected a small list of strong black American males, as the left has damaged and diminished the role of black men within the traditional family unit. Areas needing to be addressed by the community, or actually all our communities, include economics and benefits of capitalism. See Charles Payne. Traditional family values and character development. See Dr. Ben Carson. For the rule of law and social behavior, see Dan Bongino. And pride and self-discipline and service, see Alan West. The socialist fascist left continue to pursue economic and social policies that do not and cannot work. These politicians and community organizers care only about controlling people, staying in power, and directing your vote. The left offers nothing more. After decades of failure and failed policies, nothing has changed. They continue to remain in power by keeping victimhood and racism alive. The poverty and violence will be stopped and changed only when the people who live in those neighborhoods decide to stop it and gather courage to make things change. Pay no attention to radical feminists who glorify and praise single-parent households and motherhood. Community leaders need to stop romanticizing and justifying street life, gangs, and crime as a means for the youth to find a replacement for family, protection, and community. Emphasize respect for women, respect for fathers, respect for law enforcement, and respect for the traditional family unit, mother, father, children, and respect and need for education. These values work best to provide the opportunity for success and happiness in one's life. This is not theory. Decades of studies clearly show this to be true. These universal values and principles have no race, color, gender, or culture. They work for any and all who are willing to learn, work, and apply them. Change is truly in the hands of the community. Socialism and capitalism. As for me, listening to young millennials declare themselves a democratic socialist makes me want to wrap my head with duct tape to keep it from exploding. There can be no true form of democracy in a socialist state. Demands for social justice through socialism is equally mind-blowing. They are not synonymous. Want true social justice? The roadmap has been in front of us for over 237 years. Slowed by the radical left and the ignorant who follow their destructive rhetoric, we simply have not yet grown into our Constitution as individuals or as a nation. The late great former Chief Justice Antonin Scalia stated it best with his simple, honest wisdom. The Constitution says what it means and means what it says. Conservative universal principles propelled by the law of economics fueling capitalism produces positive results for all people. Socialism is a means of controlling people, not a pathway to economic success, individual liberty, or personal freedom. Under the perception of giving unearned benefits to people, it actually takes away choice, determination, and ambition by telling you what you are worth. Socialism eventually will reach a point of diminishing return, paying out more in unearned benefits than it does in revenue, and will collapse under its own weight. Only the elitists will survive to control the wealth and the law. There exists no such possibility as something for nothing. Capitalism permits any and all who will prepare and make the attempt to have a better life. Over the past 15 years, millions of people worldwide have been raised out of abject poverty by capitalism. To compare societal changes and long-term impact, socialism versus capitalism, simply examine the simple fruits formula. Good trees bear good fruit. Bad trees bear bad fruit. This simple rule is infallible. I leave it to the reader to look at the facts concerning mortality, violent behavior, sexually transmitted disease, STDs, in youth ages 10 through 14, educational achievement, and family stability. The information is available for anyone to see and understand. We used to be a better, more honest, and unified people. It would take courage to look at these things and more courage still to change them when we elect a board of supervisors, the school board, or other public officials. Or keep electing democratic socialists, especially if you enjoy bad fruit. Simple. #MeToo. As for me, while attempting to make some sense of the left's confusing and contradictory statements to the contrary, I am grateful for the fact-based, emotionally honest writing and speeches of courageous author Heather MacDonald concerning the negative impact of the #MeToo movement. At first glance, #MeToo seems to be directed toward a cessation of sexual harassment in the workplace and our universities. This would certainly be a good thing. Further still, any logical, fair-minded individual agrees that equal opportunity and equal pay for equal work must exist for any qualified candidate applying for a position, regardless of gender, race, color, or culture. But let us look closer. #MeToo accepts the theory that all disparities in employment and institutional representation are because of harassment and bias, real or perceived. Really? Yes. The radical left-wing arm of the feminist movement immediately weaponized this concept and created a cult of victimization and further embedded the destructive poison of identity politics into all areas of our society. Now, surprisingly, this perception of bias is directly proportional to the number of years the perceiver has spent in an American university. At its core, the radical left of the feminist movement targets young women, convinces them that they are helpless victims, falling prey to waves of really bad men sweeping across our nation and sexually abusing or assaulting them, and offers to become their voice and defender in society. Should a woman make an accusation of sexual abuse toward any man, she needs to be believed, must be believed. It is considered her truth. Without witnesses, evidence, proof, or legal due process, a man's life, profession, reputation, and family can be destroyed. There exists no such thing as her truth. There exists no such thing as his truth. There exists only the truth. The presumption of innocence must prevail, followed by legal due process. It must remain the hallmark of our justice system, our nation. In the larger scope and understanding of events, the radical left does not truly care about justice and choice for women. They care about getting your votes. Votes mean power, control, and money. Always. By following this narrative, you and I will never see or know the superior candidates passed over because of the drive for gender parity. The result overall can lead to only one conclusion: mediocrity. Both categories of alleged privilege, white and male, come together to form a power zone to fuel activists and enforce distortions in decision-making. No institution will hire or promote males, white males in particular, without having them clear a very high bar to achieve gender equity. Introducing irrelevant criteria such as race and gender into any evaluation process ensures that you will end up with less qualified professionals and employees. Primarily, this is a war waged against males, particularly white males, and actually results in a war against merit. This is not a matter of bias and cultural conditioning. The ideological imperatives of feminism are distorting and concealing the search for scientific truth. The purpose of every academic scientist researching the very real biological and psychological differences between the sexes is at risk. The solution to real abuse of power in the workplace is not to replace valid measures of achievement with irrelevancies like race and gender, but to ensure that all qualified candidates have the opportunity to safely compete for any position offered. Then, do the right thing. Do the courageous thing. Support hiring or electing the best person. Personal pledge. As for me, Compromise is a two-edged sword that, when wielded properly, cuts evenly on both sides of the blade. In our society and our government, the blade is cut unevenly for far too long. After any major societal, political, or personal issue is agreed upon or compromised, the justice needle always comes to rest somewhere to the left of what had been the center. Enough. Even while on the downside of the mountain, I will resist all attempts by the left, enemies of our constitutional republic, foreign and domestic, to fundamentally change this nation. My country. I choose not to die a citizen of a socialist communist state. I choose to defend the Constitution and my way of life. I choose to provide for the safety of my wife and children by defending my home and my property, along with the innocent, the defenseless, and all that I love. I choose to utilize the essence of a partial quote from Chief Joseph of the Nez Perce Indian Tribe, 1889. From where the sun now stands, I will compromise my moral compass no more, forever. My life, my way. No apologies. No retreat, no surrender.